Okay, so you've probably heard about El Salvador and all that Bitcoin stuff a while back.
Right.
But, like, did you actually know they went all in? Like, officially made it legal money?
Yeah, it was a pretty wild move. Big implications, too,
Yes, it's
potentially.
huge, yeah. And that's
Yeah.
what we're going to unpack today. Like, why did he do it? What happened after?
Right.
We're looking at this FinShots article from back in August 2021 when it was all just starting, all the buzz, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I think what's really interesting is El Salvador, they didn't just do this because of like tech hype or something.
Right.
There were real reasons, like real world stuff driving this.
Yeah.
And to get that, we got to start with the people. Like, think about all the Salvadorians, like 2 million of them living abroad, working,
Right.
sending money back home to their families.
Yeah, and that's a huge chunk of their economy.
Oh, huge.
Right.
Remittances, they call it. It's like 20% of their whole GDP.
Wow.
It's a lifeline, for real. But think about those families just trying to get that money. It's not easy.
No.
Those old school money transfer places, they charge an arm and a leg,
Yeah, the fees are crazy.
Yeah, and a lot of these folks, they don't even have banks, like especially if they're undocumented or whatever.
Right.
So Bitcoin, right, it kind of offered this way around all that. Like, imagine sending money instantly, cheap.
Yeah,
For people barely getting by, that's a big deal.
absolutely.
And it wasn't just about that, though. El Salvador, they also wanted to become this Bitcoin mining hub.
Right. Mining.
Yeah. Now, I'm not sure how familiar you are with mining, but it takes a ton of computing power solving these crazy math problems.
Yes.
Uses a lot of energy, and that's a whole other issue environmentally.
Oh, totally, yeah.
But El Salvador, they said they had this solution, right? Volcanoes.
Volcano.
Volcanoes. They were going to use geothermal energy, like clean, renewable energy from their volcanoes,
Huh.
to power the whole thing.
That's a pretty out there idea.
It is, but could they really pull it off, though? Could they get enough geothermal energy to mine Bitcoin on a big scale?
Right.
That was the question everyone was asking.
So it was a bold move, no question.
Yeah.
But not everyone was sold on it, right?
Right. And that's where the IMF comes in, International Monetary Fund.
The big guys.
Yeah, they're kind of like the financial heavyweights, They give advice, loans to countries.
Right.
And they were not too happy about this whole Bitcoin thing.
Yeah. What were they saying?
Their big concern was using something as shaky as Bitcoin, along with El Salvador's regular money, the colon.
Yeah.
They thought it could really mess up their economy.
How so?
Think about it, right? People would be comparing Bitcoin to the colon all the time.
Constantly.
And Bitcoin, it jumps up and down like crazy.
Yeah.
Imagine running a business and your costs are changing every day because of Bitcoin.
Chaos.
Total chaos. And who's going to want to invest in that?
Nobody.
Exactly. And then there's money laundering, all the shady stuff that comes with it.
Right. That was a big concern, too.
Huge. Bitcoin, it's so decentralized, hard to track where the money's going.
Yeah.
The IMF, they were worried El Salvador would become this, like, haven for dirty money.
Right.
Which would wreck their reputation and scare away any legitimate investment.
Makes sense. So we got El Salvador, super optimistic about Bitcoin, thinking it's going to revolutionize everything, help their people.
Right.
And then we got the IMF waving red flags like this is going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
And nobody knew for sure.
No. This was back in 2021, remember? Bitcoin was on a tear, lots of hype.
Right.
But nobody knew if El Salvador could pull this off.
It was a big gamble for sure.
Totally. Huge risk, potentially huge reward, and everyone was watching to see what would happen.
Yeah. So they did it. They jumped in head first,
Yeah.
made Bitcoin official, even with the IMF saying, are you sure about this?
Yeah, it was a big moment. Lots of excitement, of course.
Yeah.
But plenty of people were like, we'll see about that.
Right. It was the first time a whole country said, yep, Bitcoin's money now. A real test.
Exactly. So did it work? Did people actually start buying groceries with Bitcoin?
Yeah, like, did it catch on?
Well, it's kind of mixed, to be honest. El Salvador, they launched this digital wallet thing, the Chiva wallet.
Right.
Even gave people money to use it, like a little bonus.
Interesting.
Yeah. And some places, especially tourist spots, they did start taking Bitcoin. But overall, not as many people used it as they thought.
Why not? What was holding people back?
Well, a lot of people, especially out in the countryside, they just stuck with the U.S. dollar.
Oh, right. They were already using that alongside their own column.
Exactly. They knew it. They trusted it.
Yeah.
Plus, a lot of businesses preferred it too. And then just when El Salvador goes all in on Bitcoin,
What happened?
the whole crypto market tanks.
Oof. Talk about bad timing.
Yeah, Bitcoin's value just plummeted. El Salvador lost millions, I mean millions of dollars.
Ouch.
Yeah, the IMF was not happy, obviously. Started saying, see, we told you so.
Yeah, I bet. So did El Salvador just give up then?
Right.
Like, okay, this Bitcoin thing was a bad idea.
Nope, they actually doubled down.
Really?
Kept investing in Bitcoin stuff, promoting it, even started planning this Bitcoin city.
Whole city.
Yeah, like a special economic zone just for Bitcoin businesses, investors, the whole 9 yards.
Wow. What was the thinking there? Like, why keep going when it seems like it's not working?
Their government, they just kept saying, long-term, Bitcoin's going to win. This volatility, it's just growing pains.
It'll settle down eventually type of thing.
Exactly. They saw it as this way to get foreign investment, create jobs, boost their economy, all good things, in theory.
Right. Did it work? Did any of that actually happen?
Well, the results are mixed. Bitcoin City hasn't really taken off yet,
Yeah.
but their tech sector, their tourism, those have grown some. Maybe because of Bitcoin, maybe not. It's hard to say for sure.
So some good, some bad, still a bit up in the air.
Exactly.
Okay.
The IMF's still not convinced, still warning about the risks.
Right. That hasn't changed.
And critics, they point to the environmental stuff with mining, the potential for things to go haywire financially.
Yeah, those are valid points.
But then the Bitcoin fans, they're still saying, this is the future. This is how we make finance more fair, especially for people who don't have banks.
Right, the unbanked. Yeah. So basically, it's a big question mark still.
Yeah.
El Salvador took a huge gamble. Nobody knows how it'll end.
Yeah. It's like we're in the middle of the story, you know? And it's not just about El Salvador anymore. The whole world's watching, thinking about what this means for the future of money, for cryptocurrencies.
El Salvador really shook things up, that's for sure. Whether it was the right move, who knows? But it got people talking, thinking differently about money.
Exactly. They might be a small country, but they started a global conversation. And that's powerful, regardless of what happens next.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So we've talked about El Salvador going all in on Bitcoin, the IMF freaking out a bit, and how things have kind of played out so far.
It's messy, right?
Yeah. But, like, what does it all mean for the rest of us? What can we, like, actually learn from this whole thing?
It makes you think, right? Like, what do we really want from money?
Yeah.
Do we want something stable, predictable, backed by, a big institution like a central bank?
Right. The way it's always been.
Exactly. Or is there like space for something totally different, something decentralized outside the whole traditional system?
It's a good question. I mean, we're so used to the way things are,
Totally.
But could Bitcoin or something similar actually make things better, more fair, more accessible?
That's the argument, right? Imagine a world where you don't need a bank, period. You just send money directly to anyone, anywhere.
Instantly. Basically free.
Exactly. That's powerful, especially for people who've been shut out of the system.
Yeah, that's a good point. But then there's the flip side, right? All the volatility, the security stuff, the lack of regulation.
Right.
That scares a lot of people off, understandably.
It's a balancing act. Benefits, risks, you got to weigh them both.
And honestly, it's a personal choice at the end of the day, right?
Totally. Depends on your situation, what you're trying to do, how much you understand the tech.
It's like investing, basically. Do your research, know the risks, don't bet the farm on it.
Exactly. Look, this deep dive wasn't about telling you what to think about Bitcoin, right?
No, not at all.
It was about giving you the info, different sides of the story, so you can make up your own mind.
Yeah, exactly. Make your own decisions. And honestly, this whole landscape is changing so fast.
All the time.
It's important to just, stay curious, keep learning. This is the future of money being written right now. We should all be part of the conversation.
Absolutely. And El Salvador might be tiny, but they did something huge. They started a conversation the whole world is having now. That's impact right there.
Yeah, no doubt. They showed that sometimes you got to shake things up to make progress, even if it's risky.
Exactly. No risk, no reward.
So thanks for joining us for this deep dive into El Salvador's Bitcoin experiment. Hope you found it interesting, thought-provoking, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and who knows what the next chapter holds. It's going to be fascinating to see how this all plays out.
For sure. All right, until next time, keep exploring, keep those questions coming, and maybe we'll all be buying our coffee with Bitcoin someday.
Maybe. You never know.